10 years in the making, Wangan Midnight has been a huge global success in the arcade industry, spanning out from 2005 with the introduction of Maximum Tune 1, introducing the full concept of Wangan racing from the very beginning of time. Maximum Tune 2 follows up a couple of months later, or maybe even a year later, where it introduced 4-way battles in an intense environment, followed by the introduction of toad battles such as in Ashinogo Skyline, which is a Hakone. Maximum Tune 3 follows through with an extensive dress-up system, enables you to customize your vehicle into any form or design that you like or inspired to do. Maximum Tune 4 follows through with an even greater scaled improvement. We're looking at a global involvement of all players from all over the country, all over the archipelago, all over the continents. Asia, Australia, we even have Japan, Brunei, South Korea, you name it. The Asian region has it all. That's with Maximum Tune 4. Maximum Tune 5 is like a top-notch add-on to Maximum Tune 4 for the time being, but with a few tweaks and touches, and it's going to be a constant update that we will be expecting from Namco sometime soon. My name is Myogi, and welcome to the world of Maximum Tune 5. Now, for those who are not playing Maximum Tune, you want to ask yourself this question: what makes this game so popular? Is it because it's like the highway version of Initial D? Is it because you can make your own car? Or is it because you can go one-on-one tandem with the Devil Z? Really, I want to ask myself the same question, and it's like a drug. Honestly, it's like a drug, you gotta admit. But what really makes this game so popular is the fact that you are not versing against one person. Oh no. You are versing against 3 different people.
As stated earlier, Wangan Midnight Maximum Tune, or Maxi-Tune for short, developed by Namco Bandai Games, is an arcade racing game, practically the successor to all the famous racing games such as Daytona, Outrun, and other popular games on this platform. It was the first, next to Sega's Initial D arcade series, to utilize a memory card system that enables players to save their current progress and continue evolving their car, much like a racing RPG, or role-playing game for short. Horsepower is one of the many names of the game, as the player aims to upgrade their car until they reach an inhumane power surge of 830 horsepower, attainable after beating 60 stages of the game's story mode. The game was not limited to racing against the computer or AI, but it gives players the chance to play with up to 3 of their friends as they face off in 4-way battles. With Maxi 3, as stated earlier, it enables players also to customize their car to their liking, unlocking body parts from wheels to spoilers to aero kits to give that distinct look and identity to their cars compared to other racers. With all these extensive features and unlockables, no one would ever get tired of playing Maximum Tune, unless they run out of credits and have to reload at the counter. Other than the game's contents, the machine itself is distinct as its theme, the very first to inculcate the H-type manual transmission shifter as opposed to the traditional Tiptronic up-down shift box. Now with a 32-inch LCD HD TV and with 4.1 surround sound features, Maxi-Tune is as theatrical and picturesque as it is intense, making each game worth playing and memorable to both the casual and the serious player.
The Wangan Midnight Terminal is one of the many new features that Wangan Midnight Maximum Tune 4 introduced to us. Now with Maximum Tune 5, we are hearing a lot of rumors that we'll be getting the Japanese treatment. But it's not now, we're not ready. I mean, can you even deal with the fact of Maxi.net? Well, there's a lot of security issues that have to be covered here. Let's be honest, guys. Well, the main thing about the Wangan Terminal is Remember in Ghost Battle where you had to deal with 3DX Plus, go through 4 races just to dress up that one part? Well, that solves everything with Maximum Tune 4. And now following through with Maximum Tune 5. Wangan Midnight Maximum Tune utilizes a system called the Banapassport. It's similar to that of a Timezone power card if you're coming from Timezone, or any in-store credit card for that matter. What it does, it's like a memory card. This can save up to 100 car datas in just this very small piece of plastic. And you'll be able to check out all your dress-up settings, your statistics, and you can even change it here on the Maximum Tune terminal. For those who are already long-time players of Maximum Tune 4, there's what we call a rite of passage that they must pass through.
The Wangan Terminal is an independent, free-to-use touchboard that enables players to check on status updates of their cars while offline, change dress-up settings, and see how far they are in terms of story mode. It also enables them to switch between tachometers earned, transmission choice, and music albums to use during in-game play. For players who are currently on Maxi 4 still, upon registering their Banapassport on the first scan, they are noted that they would be transferred over to the Maxi 5 server. The data is non-backward compatible and cannot be used on older versions of Maxi Tune. To enable the notice, they simply have to activate the menu with a single touch, followed by scanning their Banapassport. A menu stating "Now checking Maxi 4 data" will appear unlike before, and then the notice appears. It lets players know of what is kept, what is resetted, and what is converted. What are maintained are the car's data, such as dress-up level, tuning, car information, car name, and their mileage. Maxi coins become Maxi trophies, and certain car levels will be downgraded, mainly triple S ranked cars. Although teams were not noted to be transferred, they are kept as is, as opposed to the notice. Upon not responding or acknowledging, the data is automatically transferred and a thank you notice appears stating that you are now ready for Maxi 5. The vanilla menu of the terminal is like its original, less the transfer from the 3DX Plus option grayed out on the October 2013 Maxi 4 update, limited to your garage, teams, and discarded data buttons respectively. On the Teams tab, Team Leader settings are currently on a new member close status. Leaders have to re-enable this feature to get new members. Sticker collection has been reset to 5 per sticker for those past it. The garage showcases a more opaque menu than the translucent background and still contains all your cars without changes. Car data was confirmed to be kept as is as stated earlier, with the exemption of the earned title that resets to Wangan Beginner. Driving style status is maintained as well, and so is the dress-up level. If any kinks were owned before the transfer, they are retained but were set as defaults. Your win-lose ratio tab has been reset, and the one noteworthy change on miscellaneous options is the addition of Maxi 5 on the Maxi 4 music album button. Don't forget to close the menu upon completing before someone else might change the statuses for you.
Wangan Midnight Maximum Tune 5 is Namco's commemoration to a 10-year anniversary on this long-time project that's ever-growing in the arcade and racing industry. Given the fact that we'll be tackling a lot of new features with Maximum Tune 5, mainly Extreme Mode, the new dress-up parts, the new cars, actually 4 of them, all of them coming all the way from Germany, and the new grading system. Not to mention the most famous track of all, thanks to Initial D, Hakone's Mount Taikan.
The newly introduced content in Maxi 5 were Extreme Mode, the Versus grading system, BMW and Mercedes-Benz as new manufacturers, and Hakone's Mount Taikan. Extreme Mode is simply put, the reversed maps of certain routes, almost every guiding material blocked off, leaving you to deal with tension from rivals behind you, and if you're unaware of the layout, what corner comes next. This new mode is a similar revival to Maxi 2's unexpected barricade layout that leaves players guessing what they're going to do if ever it appears in front of their screen. Like that of ranks and MMORPGs, the grading system is another compensation for hardcore versus gamers of Maxi 5. Based off traditional Japanese and North American Indian culture of animal spirits representing the player's overall skill level and experience, it gives their cars a more organic touch that older installments did not introduce before. BMW and Mercedes-Benz made it up on the lineup with the E46 M3, the M1, the SLS AMG, and the 190E Evolution. The M3 CSL was rumored to be a very balanced car, much like a Land Evo with an FR layout. Already popular back in the Need for Speed Most Wanted series, it finally made its way into the Maxi community. The M1 marks another spot on the midship list of Wangan Midnight, housing go-kart-like control in a flat body reminiscent to that of the DMC DeLorean and that of Wangan Midnight's Ferrari 512 Testarossa. The SLS AMG may be thought of as the new GTR's rival next to the Corvette ZR1 with inexhaustible acceleration capability. The 190E is rumored to be the godfather of VIP cars and the soon-to-be king of ram battles. Lastly, Mount Taikan is a high-speed mountain pass inculcating technical aspects of the Toad with high-speed action from the Wangan, making it the most fun, intense, and hardest map to date. In popular culture, Mount Taikan was featured in Initial D 5th stage, and it was more known by its title as the Toyo Turnpike. Other than what was mentioned above, what makes Mount Taikan the ultimate Toad Wangan mix craze was that there is no speed change at all compared to Kojiri Pass, making it possible to hit 300 km per hour on the downhill section of this map. Followed by sudden low-speed sections, Mount Taikan is a track that is full of surprises, inculcating segments of both C1 and Yokohane in the form of a cliffside mountain pass.
A lot of players were expecting during the vanilla release. They were expecting a lot of cars coming in as portrayed in the Japanese version. We were looking at the BRZ, the 86 GT, the Silhouette R30, the RT35, what I call the Autobahn, the German pack, the luxury pack, of course the historic pack, and of course the Brothers pack. But when MT5 released here, that really wasn't the case. What do we get? We get 4 German cars, Mount Taikan, and that's it. Are we really that left out? But to tell you the truth, it's actually a start for us. It's like Namco is not giving us everything in one sitting. It's like giving us one thing at a time. You know, like it's a buffet. Not actually a buffet, but it's like fine dining. You go from the appetizer towards the main course. They'll do it for you one dish at a time. When Maximum Tune 4 was introduced, even right now with Maximum Tune 5, the serious players, they were expecting some sort of physics change that is to occur. Why? In Maximum Tune 4, it kind of reminds us of this. Now look what happened to the community there. Now at Maximum Tune 5, the developers decide to rectify the physics, giving us a more semi-realistic feel, more grip movement, more balance issues. So definitely, car physics, movement physics, everything. That's what Maximum Tune 5 is bringing us with regards to the current vanilla roster.
The new toys and playgrounds of Maxi 5 aren't the only things new about it. Even the vanilla roster themselves had their own surprises. The feedback from the global community was quite mixed. Some thinking it's far worse than Maxi 4, some feel it's far better in terms of their individual car movements. Some community members of the local area who are vexed with Maxi 4's movements were able to pinpoint some constructive changes in Maxi 5. Though the realizations are currently limited and primarily focusing on grip improvements, which is a general physics change for Maxi 5, it is best to note what kind of change players are to expect for their cars. The R34 GDR V-Spec and NER had a decent performance increase, especially in that of versus battles. The boost pickup after a collision exponentially increased to 2-fold, making it far easier to catch up. Allowing it to hit 9,000 RPM and let it stay there for 1 to 2 seconds on the normal tachometer after the race begins provided it with a minor acceleration increase, able to pull out to the front pack faster than other cars. Its stability was also increased, making it far heavier, closer to the 35. But surprisingly, this did not hinder its handling capabilities. If handled correctly, any assault against to it, as long as you're on the outside lane not too far from the wall, is rendered useless. The Evo 8 is slowly veering off from its twin brother, the Evo 9, housing its own traits. Grip was immensely increased and tends to oversteer than normal. The problem raised for the E8 that became compensation to this is the decreased boost pickup. The Evo 9 shared similar buffs with the R34 other than the RPM point, and only by half the amount than the R34. Nevertheless, it ranked up being a rank lower compared to the 34. The JZA80, compared to MT4, did not have no noteworthy changes in MT5 other than recovered grip, but this doesn't mean its handling improved. The MX5 fared far better in terms of its statistics, prioritizing cornering and acceleration with a price of becoming even more lighter and more vulnerable in versus battle than in MT4. The Porsches seem to have received a reasonable performance increase in favor of plot armor. #Blackbird. The AE86 seems to have an extensive boost in stats, balancing its technical superiority in favor of increased acceleration and boost recovery. The Evo 3 gained a number of points in terms of acceleration. The Crown Athlete, in favor of ram battles, received a few extra kilos in its weight. This would be a problem though in terms of catching up, but nothing too severe. With the exception of the GDB class, the Imprezas did not fare well much, still being leveled a rank lower than the Evos or further. They were rumored to be heavier than usual, which may pose as a challenge, though favorable in ram battles. The first gen Cosmo is receiving good records in time attack and may have siphoned the traits of its younger brother and inheritor, the FD. Speaking of the FD, it received a huge nerf after its overall domination in the Maxi 4. Now mostly being used as a time attack car, and some players may tag it as the worst choice to use against the heavyweights, especially with its rival, the 34. The Nissan Fuga was introduced with a 2 dominant character in ram battles in MT4 and was loosened up in this version with weaker acceleration despite being a 7-gear car, a few kilos off its body and with a much loose brake balance. And as usual, the R35 is still broken in favor of Nissan. We're still hoping for either dress-up parts for this car or a GDR Nismo as another secret car to compensate this.
Now that we focus most on the new features in a nutshell about Maximum Tune 5's newest cars, the newest tracks, the newest physics, it's best right now that we focus on something more on the specifics. I mean, now we're gonna tackle Mount Taikan one segment at a time. We're gonna tackle the cars one piece at a time, on its characteristics, on its attributes. We're gonna see why they picked these cars into the roster. Are they really worthy to go toe-and-toe with the Devil Z? Are they really ready to dethrone the R35 and the FD, the top 2 Wangan time attack kings? Well, let's go look and see.
Going into specifics with Mount Taikan, it's advised to keep Kojiri Pass logic while in a Yokohama-like environment, especially on the popular route, the downhill. The ideal HP setting to use when full tuned is between 720 to 740 for time attacks. Section 1 is primarily a high-speed section coming out of the roundabout. A steep downhill follows with the first mid-speed right, forcing you to brake to avoid hitting the outside. As a trivia, by 10.8 kilometers at night, you will witness a lightning strike in the background. Hopefully that does not distract you. As for the rest of Section 1, it follows through with more high-speed corners, mainly ones with blue and yellow markers. The markers comprise of 2 yellow rights, a single blue right, then a yellow left with the downhill slope. Section 2 covers through in a similar but mirrored layout with Section 1, but the mid-speed hairpin comes in far earlier after a yellow S-curve combination, which would be a common sight as you go down the hill. You'll get the same S-curve combo by the time you go past the second hard corner. The straights after this gives a warning sign of a barricade that poses no threat whatsoever thanks to the expanded waiting area on the left-hand side. By the 7.5 mark, the first of many 5-shaped S-curves follow through with lanes expanding from 2 to 3. Upon seeing the first bridge, it's your key point noting you that you're entering Section 3, the more technical section of the downhill. This section immediately greets you with 2 hard corners after the initial yellow right. The first hard left slowly deepens on its apex, so be wary of your exit positions prior to setting up for the next hard right. Once you get past that, the road conditions become rough, causing your car to bounce around. When the road widens here, be ready to decelerate to keep your line in pace as the road narrows. You get some room to breathe right after that corner, as past the jagged straight road, there are only some light corners you need to clear before entering Section 4. A series of light or blue corners follow through as the steepness of the hill goes deeper. Section 4 is a combination of extremely high-speed chicanes and of course pockets to your advantage on versus battle. As the elevation increases, it becomes more steep. It poses a challenge to all players regardless of their position. Don't go too far out or you'll face a pocket. By the 1.8 km mark, be ready to brake hard, aiming to turn left after the toll gate, as it is a deep 90-degree corner. Then a varying roundabout follows through, bringing you back to the toll gate. 1.3 kilometers in seems too early for the downhill roundabout, primarily because of its complexity. It leads you from the highway exit down to the Kanagawa city area, all the way back to the highway entrance. Be wary of coming out of the last corner, as the wrong position would involve you facing head first with said toll gates. On first experience, the track was met with much constructive criticism, which they deem as one of the best tracks MaxiTune added to the list.
It's definitely difficult. I think it's pretty extreme. There's a lot of places that cars can be parked. It's very technical, very high speed also. But in terms of battle, it's really hard to keep up with the opponent if you don't know the route.
Medyo mahirap siya eh. Pero okay lang naman.
It's basically a very fast Hakone. It's a lot wider and it's basically more accommodating for beginners because it's a lot easier than the regular Mount Hakone.
So I think Taikan would be the new C1.
Getting Mount Taikan out of the way, it's time to garner some first impressions by detail on the newly introduced Germans of Maxi 5. Starting off with the E46 M3. Most people know of the M3 as a popular car in the Need for Speed Most Wanted series with its GDR counterpart. But did you know that the M3's reason for being chosen in the list is because it's a plot-related car in C1 Runner? Shinji Ogishima, the protagonist of Wangan Midnight C1 Runner, confessed that over the FD, the M3 CSL specifically is a car that he dreams to drive, and he was able to relive that dream. If there would be a story mode expansion, we might just see a story mode adaptation of Wangan Midnight C1 Runner and other missing arcs in the game. The M3 was noted to have the most balanced stats among the four new cars, with its primary characteristic being its brilliantly controlled handling. The car practically does not understeer, and feathering with the gas is as good as braking hard. The car's 9,000 RPM power band made it easy to hold on to its top speed, regardless if the car just came out of a collision. We are hoping the car to house a really good and balanced boost recovery once it's full tuned. Of course, a changelog may be in order once the cars are full tuned, but initially, expect the M3 to drive like this. If we are to rank the M3, it is definitely a beginner level car that can be deemed to be the middleman of the R34 GDR with its great recovery and acceleration, and the RX-7 FD's handling prowess. The 190E's wide body, thanks to its evolution trim, may give you hints that the car is as hard to control as most VIP cars, but don't let it mislead you. The 190E was noted by some players to house one of the greatest steering responses among the VIP class. Though not a Lancer by heart despite the Evolution subname, the 190E is quite heavy and may be one of the greatest choices for ram battles. Although it may have the greatest response and possibly good handling capability, grip is another factor over handling, which may be what the 190E lacks, alongside a potentially weak top speed with its 4-cylinder layout. If ever full tuned, we are estimating the 190E to have a similar top speed with that of its second cousin third twice removed, the Land Evos, and its relatives, the Imprezas. Marked as the third midship of maximum tune, the M1 makes its initial debut to the series. If there are any plot-related marks this car has, it might have to be its production date, dating to Kitami working on models from that era, the M1 included. The car itself may be classified as a fatter and heavier brother to that of the SW20 MR2. As expected of its mid-engine rear-wheel drive layout, it has the greatest handling stat among the four new cars. Possible further traits this car may possess, like the MR2, is its tendency to snap oversteer. Unlike the RK Coupe, which is a hybrid midship thanks to its Boxer 4 engine, the M1 is all natural, and with regards to its potential top speed, may as well share the same top speed as that of the MR2 and other 4-cylinder cars in the game. People are saying that the M1 may be a good choice for tracks such as Mount Taikan. On this we have no arguments about. It is noted though that because it's bigger and longer than the MR2, the rear tends to fin out a lot, and with regards to its weight, it would lose more speed compared to other A-class machines, especially that of its younger brother from Japan. Last among the 4 new machines is the SLS AMG as depicted in the video. As per its debut, there is a related machine to this that gives it a plot reason for being in the roster, other than being the GDR35's global rival. The SL series Benz, which was featured in the Wangan Midnight anime, and its correlation to that of the 300 SL Gullwing, an antique icon older than the Devil Z. The SLS AMG is the 3rd V8 and the 2nd 7-speed car in the series, next to the first 7-gear car that debuted, the Nissan Fuga, and to the other 2 V8s of Chevrolet. With the gearbox in mind, it has the highest acceleration level among the 4 Germans, almost ever often than not has its standard tachometer's needle always on the red zone. With respects to its top speed, it can either possibly go 2 ways. The same top speed as that of the Fuga at around 351 km per hour, but with how the tachometer moves on its basic tune, it can either go the other way, wherein we feel that it could go higher. Hopefully. With respects to boost, thanks to its acceleration, a strong boost recovery is to be expected from this car, but we wouldn't rank it with a powerful boost level as high as that of the GDRs. Handling wise, the SLS AMG, because of its semi-heavy weight, is quite mediocre, and next to its braking, this trait may be classified as the SLS's liability. On the upside though, it has a good amount of grip and could hold on to its line no problem. A player once quoted that the SLS turns as if it had train railings underneath its wheels. It's that intact during cornering. Compared to the M3 and the M1, the SLS loses the most speed during hairpins among the 4, and if maining the SLS, it is best used on high-speed tracks over technical circuits. Just a note to keep in mind. Someone from the Australian community gave us a surprise with regards to the SLS AMG. It has the capacity to attain custom colors. This gives us the most major hint that dress-up parts may be installed in future patches for these cars, but if not, it is still a good change of pace and a good current distinction from the R35, which can neither get custom colors nor custom parts. Don't believe me? Hopefully this image here suffices. Germany aside, with the same interviewees earlier, we got good remarks of what cars they want to see next in future patches, with reference to the Japanese release of course.
I wanted to make the new high ace, the secret car, yeah. That.
Siguro yung mga BRZ, Toyota 86.
First, the Toyota 86, no doubt. For the future car updates, I would want to see the Galant VR4.
Since we live in the Philippines, Honda is very popular in our country. So I think Honda should be a part of the Wangan universe. So maybe the NSX or the S2000 would be good.
What about the Civic? You said mention Honda in the Philippines.
Well, yeah, Civic is very popular, but it's a front-wheel drive.
Hey, it did not stop the Corolla and its front-wheel drive.
No, the Corolla?
Yeah, the secret car, the Corolla.
Oh, okay. So well, let's see.
Yeah.
Finally coming into the last of the latest features of MT5 would have to be Extreme Mode, a fresh new segment featured in Maxi 5. In addition to this, the developers also revamped the battle animations of rivals prior to their versus race, changing their Vandal on white motif with something adjacent to the Extreme Mode theme. One-on-one versus share a similar motif with Ghost Battle animation. A 3-way has the newest animation with one of the 3 being on the center of attention as the other 2 drift around it. A 4-way goes back to its roots, similar to that of Maxi 2 animation with its own mix. All 3 of them sharing an explosion background followed by a versus lightning shock animation. As for Extreme Mode, other than the hidden HUD or heads-up display, almost everything that has nothing to do with the background and has something to do with the race is themed in deep red, as opposed to the standard versus battle's yellow motif. Red was also known to be an adrenaline rushing color, but we have minor speculations that the color could also denote as a distraction, especially if you're unaware of the route backwards. All turn indicators are shown with a red exclamation point, and all of them having the same single beep sound, regardless if it's a corner or a collision or even a toll gate that is marked ahead. traffic was known to spawn more than usual and may spawn even greater when versing a legitimate SSS rank car. C1 Extreme on a 4-way would involve more than a lap around the loop, and the route is force fixed to stay on C1 and not stray away from it. Not even Yasu is included. The direction is chosen at random with respects to the starting points, and these starting points are all the same as that of the normal C1 versus, choosing between Shidome, Kandabashi, or even Shibakoen. The dividers are more forgiving than the traditional C1 battles, but the same cannot be said for the junctions. Especially junctions like in Hamazaki and Edobashi are far harder to go past by without potentially losing enough speed or hitting the outside wall or inside wall even at a balanced setup. A lot of the traffic is spawned either before the corner as a hindrance, during the corner as a challenge, or maybe even after the corner when you think it's already over. The spawn rate and its spawn points definitely add much to the extreme mode experience. A lot of players liked Extreme Mode, making it a great I'm sorry gift from the developers for MT4's foul-ups. Here's what some have to say about it. In addition, following up to this are the recommendations for upcoming patches that are either currently present in the Japanese version or what they want to have added as a form of community feedback. Namco, I hope you're listening.
Still the same because it's just same maps, just reverse.
Well, it's extreme. It's very difficult because you're used to the normal track, but now it's reversed, and it kind of brings back the life to the previous tracks that we have played.
Magandang map. Masaya pag 830 HP.
It's challenging and it's fun to play it.
Playing extreme mode is a challenge for new players.
You know, as you saw in my gameplay a while ago in extreme mode, it made me rethink how you always played maximum tune. You have to think out of the box, and it's very fresh. It's really new, and you have to think on your feet because you are facing an unfamiliar course in every time, in every single battle.
Maybe in the team system you can kick a member in the list.
Yeah, okay, for the
Because
more
there's no option, right? Only this band.
Yeah, that's true, that's true.
Siguro, pag inad nila yung C2, okay.
In extreme mode, we can see that the track is reversed, right? So if you're traveling C1 inward, it's actually outward, but the traffic is still flowing with you, yeah, same direction like you. We want the traffic to be reversed also, incoming traffic.
Yeah, that's a good idea, that's a good idea.
If you were to given a choice, what next extreme mode map you're gonna pick, what would it be?
Definitely one would be the Yokohama area.
Basically, the Maxi G shop and the mini map.
For you personally, what are your requirements to say it's extreme?
830, boost off, no holds barred.
I kinda regret asking him that question, but he does have a point. The point of racing in extreme mode is not just to play the tracks the opposite way legitimately. The point is in the name of the mode itself, to have an extreme race. What you see right now is my first time tackling Osaka in extreme mode. I'll be honest, this is my least favorite map given its too many players hoard this map with its turn right rule. Guess you can say right now that Osaka's extreme rule is keep left. The pace of Osaka Extreme is far easier to manage at 830 compared to its normal route. The S-curves on the long straight make it more challenging at 830, no doubt, and the temptation to go past 330 km per hour before that long S-curve there is strong on this version if you're coming from the old Kanjo. Unlike in C1 Extreme, Osaka Extreme enables the leading car to choose the direction. You can either keep the donut loop or go for a top speed run around the old Kanjo with your rivals. It's your call. The K13 corners are far harder to maneuver than the original given the jumps happen before you hit the corners. Managing this, especially in a boost off race, is the greatest and hardest challenge in Osaka Extreme, but it's where the thrill happens when you're in the middle of a close-knit race there. Traffic spawns as normal as how Osaka usually spawns it, but their positioning is like in C1 Extreme. and it's a double-edged sword that can be used for you or against you. A lot of these position themselves at the outside of the corners, and running at 830 HP, it's a deciding factor. One last thing to note is that in extreme mode, the grading system is effective. So if you know Osaka in C1 by heart backwards, it's time to rack those medals. Hope to see most of you getting your eagles soon.
Well, that's it for me here on Timezone Glorieta. It's been an honor to cover the Maximum Tune 5 official coverage. Honestly, I've been so speechless with what I've just been playing. It was the greatest experience any player for Maximum Tune for that matter would even like. A lot of people have good comments about it. A lot of people are having good expectations. Namco, I'm no different. I'm expecting a lot from all your upcoming updates for this game. So for one last time, this is Myogi saying see you guys next time.